hear that.
Got it.
Okay. Awesome. Well, Emily, it's such a joy to be here with you. Maybe what a really good place for us to start is to just give you an opportunity to introduce yourself. Maybe your name, where you're from, and a little bit about where you were when you were starting your RORS journey.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Emily Wu. I'm 27 years old. And I come from Taiwanese American or Taiwanese immigrant parents. And I was born and raised in Los Angeles, but I currently live in the Bay Area. Um, and in terms of job, I work in research at Stanford. And then we'll go into academia in the future.
Yeah,
Um,
yay. You just blew past that,
fingers
but I just gotta
crossed.
say,
Yeah.
PhD candidate on the way.
Yeah. Um, so a little bit about how I came into the program. So basically I had recently graduated from a master's graduate program, and I was super burnt out, and I basically thought that going into a job was going to be so much easier on my body, on my mind. And I'll be, at least having an income, so that'll take stress out. Basically, I was just really happy to be out of school. But after, I would say like not too long after I started my 9 to 5, I realized that things were just not cutting it. Like, not having stress wasn't enough for my body to relax into rest. I ended up finding that a lot of the time that I had to put into rest was just not very fulfilling. And I was kind of at a loss figuring out why it was not working. I was like, I'm sleeping a lot more. I used to like not sleep at all. So it's like, I don't
Mhm.
understand why more sleep wasn't really helping. I nap during the day also. And, uh, you know, I think a lot of what I had in my mind is that being stationary should have been good enough, but I found that, I was pulling on different threads, realizing that not moving was not enough either. Like,
Mhm.
I needed some other ways to fill my cup. I needed sunshine, maybe some movement. Um, and, I was still kind of like floundering, I think.
Mhm.
Um, until I found your Instagram, Cass, and I was like, this really resonates in like trying to figure out why my body is like just not resting. And I think the biggest question that I asked myself, and I brought it up to my partner too, I was like, maybe this doesn't really apply to me because I feel like
Mm.
I'm resting enough. Am I not? And he was like, I don't know if your rest is working, to be honest.
That brutal honesty from the partner.
Yeah, he was like, I think you need something different. Or you need to look at this like a different way because you seem tired all the time to me.
Mm.
Um, and so that was kind of the impetus for me to be like, okay, I think there's something that I'm not seeing. And that's how I ended up here. Yeah.
Yay, thank you. You kind of already, excuse me, like started moving in this direction, but my second question was, how do you feel like your understanding or even your definition of rest has evolved, and how has that trickled out into other areas of your life, which may include work, but also like relationships and family, and I know all the other things you care about.
hmm Yeah, for sure. So I think one thing that I knew coming in here, and I feel like a lot of people did, is like objectively kind of knowing what rest was kind of like defined as in general. And I think I also knew in a bigger sense, also like objectively, what my body might have. But there was like a disconnect there and being able to actually like apply um either new habits or new perspectives that just like wasn't really working out, even though maybe I knew somewhere that rest was something that my body needed. Um, and so I think one of the biggest things is being able to look at the definition of rest differently as not just relaxation necessarily for your body or whatever that is, but rather like a state of mind, a state of being, um a way of approaching kind of a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the biggest learning shift for me, that it's not just, okay, I have an hour, let me take a nap, right? And like that should have been what rest is, but rather being like being able to know I can assess my needs and be like, is a nap is that really what my body needs right now? Maybe I need to stretch. Maybe I need to cancel plans. Maybe I need to do all of this. And I think that's some of the, like, I guess I could call it kind of like curriculum. Um
Yeah.
really, really helped me in figuring out and like really listening to my body. I think, especially as an Asian American woman, I was so disconnected from my body's needs. I was really just able to like push through and do the things that I needed to do, but not really listening to actually what my body was
Mm-hmm.
asking for. And I think I'm still, obviously it's a work in progress. There are still things that
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I can hear quite yet or still need to work on in terms of like signs of burnout, signs of stress and being tired. Um, but it was a really good shift and kind of a start for me to be able to take a beat and be like, can I add, can I subtract? Um, what is it about the situation that doesn't feel restful? And then also being able to
Mm-hmm.
put boundaries for myself in that way, because I can really easily fall into to sort of like past habits and be like, this is what I've always done. I'm just going to like rot. Um, instead
Until
of,
it feels magically restful.
oh yeah, until I forget why I'm rotting on the couch,
Yeah.
essentially. I'm actually kind of being more intentional about the things that I do for my rest. Um, and how that's kind of been applied, I think, is like one, um, I think I've just really kind of been able to find some peace within my own bubble. I think I was getting a lot of cabin fever of like, I'm inside too often and the rest is not helping, or like I'm in bed too often and the rest is not helping. Um, but really being able to find like my like rest nest, right? Like being
Mm-hmm.
able to make the space serve my needs better and find kind of that peace within my own bubble. Um, and I think in terms of my relationships, at least with my partner, it's definitely like being able to sense when I'm hitting that wall
Mm-hmm.
before I either take it out on him or mess up in some other ways. Um, and thankfully he's very understanding. So sometimes he'll be like, "Why are you not in your rest nest?" And I'm like,
We love a supportive rest like partner who's
yeah,
on the rest journey or who cares
which
about our rest.
exactly. Yeah. So it was like, it's actually really great that I was learning and also being able to give that information to him and kind
Yeah.
of help him understand the sort of the journey that I was on. And he honestly treats it as like a much more sacred space than I do. He's like, I can't go there. That's your rest nest. And I'm like, I'm sharing my rest nest. Can you just scooch over?
Yeah,
You be
yeah.
in the rest nest and I will sit here and it's fine. So I was really, really grateful for that he was like also really open to learning.
Mhm.
And I'm working on like how I can also talk about this with my friends and
Mhm.
eventually my parents. uh,
That's the final frontier.
yeah, I've talked a little bit about it with my mom, and I think she understands it to
Mhm.
a certain extent. I don't think she necessarily thinks that journey is for her.
Right.
But
Oh, I remember you saying like your mom like was injured and you got to see her relationship to rest play out at the beginning of this program.
oh yeah, yeah, she is like not a woman who rests at all and
Mhm.
doesn't and only sees rest as like if it has to be productive, she will feel
Mhm.
rested afterwards and
Yeah.
help her work more later, then yeah, she'll do
Mhm.
that.
And
But
or if it's medically necessary, which is the
exactly,
rest that my parents like are associated with.
exactly, yeah, yeah. And so I think for now I've definitely communicated some better boundaries, I think,
Mhm.
regarding that, and she seems to maybe be listening a little bit more, so I'll take what I can
Mhm.
get, and I think it's had
Yeah.
uh overall positive effect, albeit however little that might be, but better than
Hmm.
nothing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And with work, I think I always had pretty good work boundaries, but knowing that, you know, a break is a break. I'm not just going to take like a working lunch. I used to do that a lot.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Same.
yeah, like multitask, which is
Yeah.
great. Also, just take like half an hour to just focus on eating and it's fine. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I think I've just treated the actions that I take towards rest as a lot more sacred and like sort of being
Hmm.
more protective of that. And that's kind of like sort of affected all areas of my life in different ways.
Hmm. I'm curious, what your experience of being in the community with with your cohort was like, and how you feel that that supported your rest journey, potentially in ways that would have been challenging if you had been going about it alone.
Yeah, I thought about that I think towards the end of our program where I was like, I don't think I would have gotten here without you and without the community by any means. And even if I yeah, if I even if I had like the Rest is Resistance book and I had
Hmm.
the cards and I had all the resources, I still don't think it would have quite helped me implement it as much. I think it was so important to see other people on a similar journey. Um, and also not maybe even just not talking only about the rest, but also just being able
Hmm.
to connect with like-minded individuals who are sort of all in the same place in their lives,
Hmm.
maybe different flavors, but like uh and just being able to it's like such a unique space that I don't see
Hmm.
anywhere else. And I think it was so beneficial to be able to uh one have the rest buddy and kind of like connect one-on-one during this journey. And honestly, me and my rest buddy, Christine, we don't even like talk about the rest that often. It's
Hmm.
literally just about like how are you in your life and how are
Yeah.
things. And to me, like relationship and connection has always been a part of my rest. So I think
Hmm.
that is what that functioned for me.
Yeah.
Um, and the funny thing is that I remember when I was doing my PhD applications, a lot of it,
Hmm.
some schools will like ask about extracurriculars and like other community stuff.
Hmm.
I don't know why, but and it wasn't until towards the end of our program that I was like, why didn't I put this? Like,
This is my extracurricular.
yeah, like this counts as like a
Hmm.
form of like community interaction and community
Yeah.
investment. And there is like time and energy that goes into being a part of
Hmm.
this. And
And you're
uh
learning and unlearning like at the same time.
exactly. And it's also like centered around such like beautiful activism and social justice and also like racial justice. And all of that is
Hmm.
like a super healing space, I think, and in my opinion, deserves space in like academia. So I
Hmm.
was like kind of annoyed with myself that I didn't put it in.
A missed
Um,
opportunity.
yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I think I was really grateful, am really grateful
Hmm.
for the space and also just like even the continued space that's offered as alumni.
Hmm.
I'm really excited to see how that sort of evolves and being able to keep in touch with people, however distant that might be.
Hmm.
And just being a part of like this new generation of Asian women and femmes who are on this like similar journey with each other. That's like so cool.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that example that you just shared of like how you and your rest buddy like don't really talk about rest, you end up talking about life. Like I think that's such a perfect encapsulation of something that's really hard to explain to someone, I think, when they're just starting their rest journey. It's like you think you're here to learn how to rest, what
Right.
it turns into is like the rest is a vehicle portal for you to learn how to come back to yourself and come back to life. And I feel like that theme has just shown up a lot in what you're sharing
Mhm.
today. And yeah, I guess I'm just curious if there's anything about that that you want to say.
Um, I am not surprised. Like how it's turned out. I had a similar experience when I was in my grad program. We had like a
Mhm.
space kind of like this. It was like a peer space, and we
Yeah.
were supposed to talk about our work and what we were learning and any issues that we had and like kind of
Mhm.
brainstorm with our peers to work through it. And eventually it ended up just being like, let's just talk about life.
Like, who are you?
Yeah. Like, and it was because it was over Zoom. And I
Yeah.
think we were kind of like missing that connection. And I think like what we've achieved is like really great balance of being able to learn and connect at the same time. And I think as you do
Mhm.
such a good job at structuring the space so that we have the like time to connect on other things, on life, on
Mhm.
what's going on in each other's worlds, and then also being able to like bring that back in and connect it to the material that we're learning and practicing. And to me, that's like the best way. I feel like
Mhm.
if it's all sort of like learning, business, academic, it's all
Or like
there.
theoretical and it's not
Yeah,
involving what you're moving through.
exactly. It's so much easier to just like connect and then be able to have each other and like be engaged in that way of like caring
Mhm.
about each other's worlds, and then just like connect it to what we're learning. Like that's like the easiest thing to do, in my
Yeah.
opinion, to be able to see how that actually applies in what we're doing and what
Mhm.
where we're going in our lives. Yeah,
Yeah, it's not like you're like, okay, I finished the program and now I can start practicing. It was like, no, like
exactly.
the source material was each of you and your lives and whatever you were moving through and whatever you were feeling. Like we brought it all into the space. Um, and my
Mhm.
final question for you is, if you were able to like go back in time and speak to the version of Emily, maybe like a month before they started the program, what would you have wanted them to know?
Uh, like prior to entering the program, you mean?
Like if you remember the feelings that that version of you probably had, I can imagine there was some nerves. There's some like have got expectations. Maybe they're very like sometimes they
Hmm.
can be very lofty and high. There might be some fears. So I'm just wondering if there's something you might say to that version.
Yeah, I would say that the magic still happens. Like the magic that you're looking for, it still
Mm,
happens. It might just not look like the way that you pictured. I think at first I was expecting this like extreme shift in like life
mm,
changing thing. And I was going to be able to tune into my body and all of this stuff. And I think if I had to tell her, I'd be like, you're gonna be better at it.
mhm.
And that's where you need to be. Like this is the direction that you need to go. And so many of the lessons that you're gonna learn are gonna take a different shape than you were expecting, but will still push you in the direction that you're going. Um, Also you need it. Like
Just in case you're second
do
guessing
it.
yourself.
Like I think I was like maybe especially knowing the
Yeah.
like maybe kind of like past women and femmes that have been in this position before, I felt like prior to going in, I was like, I don't know if this is like for me. I don't know if I'm taking up space that maybe someone else
Mhm.
would benefit from. And I'm like, no, like you deserve rest and you are also suffering in many ways that you may not be able to see. So please do this program, take this program to heart. And I would say that this program would meet me where I am. Like,
Mhm.
I don't think that I would have been in a space for this extreme life-changing like
Yeah.
event. And it met me where I needed it to, which is like a push in the right direction, the resources that I needed, the community,
Hmm.
um, sort of at the right place. Like I think like a community that would even be like so interconnected, don't think I would have had the space or the time
Hmm.
to like invest into something like that. But we were
Hmm.
all like invested enough to like give each other the space that we needed and also engage when we needed, and
Hmm.
like such a safe and flexible space that works perfectly with where you're at now.
Hmm.
That was a really piecemeal answer, but
Yeah.
see
No, that's
that.
such a sweet message to give your past self. It's like you're gonna expect miracles. You're gonna expect quick fixes. It's not gonna be that, but it'll set you on a good path and give you what you need.
Mhm.
That's just yeah, that's funny. And I always just like remark at what my past self wanted because it's always like, yeah, like this lifelong pattern. It's gonna be changed by like 3 months.
Gone.
Um, yeah, and like what I marvel at is like, wow, here we have a group of like API women and femmes who like have found a way to be like a lot more patient and give ourselves grace and compassion. And I often think about like that's not necessarily things we saw modeled by the women and femmes in our family. And so that itself also feels like really radical and revolutionary. Like, wow, giving ourselves space to change and to grow and to learn. But I'm
Exactly.
just really thankful for you, Emily, for being here. Thanks for sharing your story with me.
Thanks. Thanks, Cass. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye. Thank you.
Bye.